1. In place of the usual FSPA sessions, I was asked to do a video lesson on how to properly write a review. My name is Amelia Foster, and I'm the A&E editor and the multimedia editor of RHSToday, an online publication, and Night Riders, a print publication. My advisor asked me to do a list of my credentials to tell you why it's me doing this lesson and not someone else. So I joined RHSToday and Night Riders my freshman year. I became the A&E editor of RHSToday and Night Riders my sophomore year. And then I became the A&E editor and multimedia editor of both publications my junior year, which is this year. This year, I won a Silver Key for Journalism in the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards for Hillsborough County. I've won 4 Best of Snows, and I've won 2 All Floridas. And the All Florida I won this year for a review that I wrote on Dickinson, a TV show, is actually up for Best of the Best. I feel like I should put a disclaimer in. The ticking noise that you hear in this video is my mechanical heart valve. No, I cannot turn it off. No, and I cannot make it quieter. Yes, it's gonna be this loud this whole video. Sorry. What's the point of a review? The primary purpose of a review is always to recommend whether or not someone should listen to this, watch this movie, eat this food, go to this restaurant. So it can be positive, it can be negative. And once you've established whether you like it or whether you don't like it, you have to develop the angle. And the angle is the why of the story. An angle isn't just, it's good, it's bad, it's why you think it is good or bad. Maybe the movie is good, like it subverts tropes. Maybe the album is bad because every song sounds the same. And then once you develop your angle, and typically I like it to be a sentence, so you can say, Calm by 5 Seconds of Summer is bad because every song sounds the same. That's not an actual angle, but you just want it to be a coherent sentence. Make sure to support the angle throughout the review, not just in the introduction and conclusion. And then whatever you conclude throughout the story, whether it's an artist's interview, the name of an instrument, an actor's history and intentions behind this, make sure it's relevant to your central angle. So if you're writing a review and the angle is, this album is very unique and no one's done anything like it, if you hear an instrument that's really weird, look it up and you include the name of the instrument just to enforce no one's doing it like them, it's unique, they're doing something different. So some examples of angles from RHSToday. So review, Me and You Together song is adequate. Chain of Gold exceeds expectations, even as it fits stereotypical tropes. If Dickinson breathes life in Emily Dickinson, Yummy is distasteful. This is all a different range of angles for different stories and whether it's good or whether it's bad. Me and You Together song is a single by the 1975. Chain of Gold is a book. Dickinson is a TV show, and Yummy is also a single. So an angle can really fit anything, even whether it's a completely different form of media, or if it's not a form of media at all. Maybe it's in a restaurant. Who knows? Whatever it is you're viewing, just ensure it has a comprehensive angle. Structure. Every review needs structure in order to best make your point, because if you don't have structure for a review, the reader isn't going to understand what you're trying to say. It's not going to be comprehensive. So this isn't the tell-all be-all structure for every single review, but it's important things you should include in it. So you want an engaging first paragraph, something that is going to make people want to continue reading your review farther than just the first sentence. You want to establish context. So maybe, oh, this movie took a long time to be released. Oh, maybe it's the artist's sophomore album. Specifics. You want the little details. The little details are like, oh, I thought this thing, this actor's move was really cool, and you use that to support your angle. So it's just all the little things that make your story. And then a counterpoint. You want a counterpoint because if you go to a concert and you really liked it, chances are there was one moment that you thought was awkward or one moment that you thought maybe could have been improved upon. So you want to include that in your review so that you don't seem too biased towards the artist or against the artist. You want to include everything so that way people can trust your opinion and know, okay, this is good, but this little thing, they want to know what they're getting into. And then you want a conclusion that looks to the future rather than the past, and I'll touch on that more in the next slide. So for an introduction and a conclusion, there are certain things you should do in all of them. So a good introduction should always establish the angle, but the angle doesn't have to be the only part of the introduction. Use an anecdote, other ratings, first thoughts from a single trailer, or just dive straight into the plot. Whatever you do, just make sure it fits your story. And if it doesn't fit your story, find some other way to do it. Conclusion should enforce the central angle, but it shouldn't sound like an essay where you're just repeating the thesis and that's it. When I say look to the forward, look to the future rather than the past, I mean, what do you want from this album? What do you want it to do for you? Maybe you're excited to listen to it at 2 a.m. on your floor. Maybe this movie, you're excited to watch it when you're old with your kids. Just look to how it is impactful, what it means. Other ways you can end it, you can make a conclusion on why it's important, how it changed your opinion. Just don't focus on the past. Look forward. Just do what works with your review and don't be generic. Because if you're generic, then it's, why do I want to read this? If anyone could have written this, then why don't I just write it? Here are some examples of introductions and conclusions from RHSToday. This is an introduction from the aforementioned Chain of Gold story. So this writer, she's dove right into the plot, and it fits her angle because she focused on how it exceeded expectations even while fitting stereotypes. She's just mentioning some of the stereotypes that she expands upon in the article. This is another introduction. This article on Guthrie's Chicken in Tampa actually won in All Florida this year. So she mentions how her expectations were high because they have very good reviews, and then she expands upon that in her actual article. So it's just, there's a lot of different ways you can do your introduction. Conclusion. This is the conclusion that I wrote for my Best of the Best story. It's Dickinson. It's the Dickinson Breathes Life and Emily Dickinson. I focused on how it's really funny and how it gave her story meaning. So I was looking on why is it important. You don't want to focus and just restate your thesis. You want to try and say something new while also not introducing an entirely new point. Research. Although typically for reviews you don't have to research anything, you don't have to do interviews, I'm of the opinion that research will always improve your story if it relates to your angle. So unless you've done every hobby ever, you're not going to know everything about what you're reviewing. If you are listening to an album and you hear a really weird instrument and you look up what that instrument is and include it, it can raise the quality of your review. Research can almost always only make your story better, because if you know what you're talking about, other people are going to trust what you're saying. Voice. A writer's voice is something unique to each person, but there's some basic guidelines to keep in mind. You don't want to be too formal. You're not Jane Austen, you're not Shakespeare, you're not Oscar Wilde. You don't have to use a 100-word sentence with 10 commas and a gazillion syllable words. Keep your audience in mind. Don't just write what you think makes you sound smart. Write what fits your review. On the other hand, don't be too casual. You don't want to write a review and it just comes off like, oh my god, I love this artist so much, they're the best artist ever. Because if you're too casual, you're never going to say why. It's just going to be all bias. So if you're a really big fan of something, it's really easy to stop being professional. Take a breath and distance yourself from what you're reviewing, then give your opinion. I've found that some of my worst reviews are from things I'm really excited for. And you don't want to accidentally mess up your review and do what you love dirty because you weren't professional and you wrote a bad review because of it. Here's some examples of different voices. Here you can see that they mentioned COVID-19 and they mentioned quarantine. So this is a review of the new Animal Crossing game. So her voice here is kind of tense, it's kind of jokey, it's acknowledging what's going on in the world, but then focusing on something cute. Here, her review was very critical. It was very analytical. She didn't like the movie. So you can tell her voice just from the title, is being a tall girl really that bad? She's kind of poking fun at the movie anyways, especially with her deckhead. Here, my friend Nicole wrote this one. Her voice, she has a style for what she does. She mentions the name of the song. She's very upright and forthcoming with what she thinks about it. So the lyrics felt repetitive, they were simple. Her voice is just to the point, and that adds to what she's trying to say. Because by being to the point, it gets across, okay, I like this artist, but this wasn't good, and I'm being honest about it. When you write a review, you have to keep a good mix of reporting and just giving your opinion. Because if you're just giving your opinion, what are you giving your opinion on? You have to describe what it is before just saying your opinion on it. So if you're describing a movie and you want to give your opinion on a certain scene, just give a brief, like bio of what happens in the scene, and then give your opinion on it. These are just little things that I think can make or break your story. So don't spoil what you're reviewing. If there's a huge plot twist in the book or movie, don't include it, because then they're going to read your review, they're going to see your plot twist, and it's going to be, why did I read this review? I'm not even going to watch the movie anymore. You've kind of ruined it. Don't use I think or in my opinion. The entire review is what you think, because you're the one writing it. You're not getting possessed by someone else. Someone's not using your hands to write this. It's your words, so obviously it's your opinion. And then always give your actual opinion, not what you think other people want you to write, because if you're being false and you're faking your emotions, it's going to show and your writing is going to be subpar. And then it's always fun to be a little mean to an artist if they're big and the album's really bad, but don't do it if it's a local high school band. There's a difference between a small beginner and like a huge artist like Ariana Grande or Beyonce. So don't be cool to beginners, but don't be fake nice because they're popular. And here are examples from Make It or Break It. I had to review Avengers Endgame, the movie where if you mentioned a single plot point at all, you're going to be an outcast from society for the next week. So if I can review Avengers Endgame without mentioning anything about the movie besides Captain America is in the movie, then you can write a review without spoiling it. Additionally, the editor-in-chief Morgan wrote this review about how a concert that she attended was subpar. She's critical about the artist Post Malone, and it's okay that she was critical that he's not good at what he's trying to do, because he's a huge artist, and he's not going to have his life ruined by a teenage girl's opinion of him because he is a millionaire. To sum everything that I've just set up in the past 4 minutes, the ultimate purpose of a review is to serve as a recommendation. Be unique, do what fits your opinion, and then I'm just going to focus on this. Make sure a review is a why, not a what. If it's not a why, then why would I listen to this, Why is it good? Why is it bad? Develop your voice and stick to it. Keep a good balance between reporting and opinion. And if anything that I have said in this lesson isn't working for a review, for your voice, ditch it. Don't compromise your writing and your thoughts for what you think someone else wants you to say. I'm not writing your review. I am not you. If my advice isn't working, ignore it and do what you think works. Thank you for listening to this video. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can find me on Instagram. I follow FSPA. Thank you.